Hey guys, I'm Laura Martin Bovard, and I'm super psyched you found me again on the Divine Hustler Download channel. An update from last week I have to share with you today, and a few tips on how I'm using the tools to grow and strengthen and navigate through ruptures in my marriage. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and by all means subscribe, because I offer these videos weekly, and it is part of my growth and part of my tools to share it, because when you teach it, you learn it, and then your neural pathways strengthen, and it becomes a more accessible tool when you do that. So thank you for following along, and I look forward to sharing with you a story that happened this past week that is really upped my marriage game. Hey everyone, I'm Laura Martin Bovard, and I'm delighted that you found me here on the Divine Hustler channel. I am super inspired to share with you all the tools and all the tips and all the nuance to the things that I'm learning. And since I am a ninja with personal growth tools and I use them very proficiently and I'm always adding new ones, I'm loving the opportunity to share in real time some of the things that are happening in my life and how I'm using the tools to navigate through some very real, very deep, very challenging stuff in my marriage. And also that spills over into some of the behaviors that I've had growing up in the patriarchy as a woman who considers herself a very creative, go-getter type A entrepreneur. And how does one do that when one is married to a really strong masculine personality and without being triggered, right? And so I'm using the tools to help me navigate through some of the triggers, and I'm hoping that the story I have to share with you today blesses you in some way. And like I always love to say, take what you like and leave the rest. But most human experience that we have, we all share such similar things. We share the trauma of our family lineage. We share the trauma of being born in a patriarchal culture. And we learn and grow from each other. So that's what I'm here to offer. So if you like this video today, will you please give it a thumbs up? And I would also be delighted if you would share it with your friends. And most importantly, please subscribe. So hit that subscribe button below, and you'll be hearing regular updates about how to use these tools very proficiently, or at least practice. I'm sure not proficient at it. That's why I keep doing them and keep practicing. So a follow-up from last week's video where I was in a massive rupture in my marriage, and what has transpired this past week has really, really humbled me. It's dropped me to my knees. It has opened my heart. It is getting me closer to my goal of having a very passionate and very fulfilling marriage with my beloved husband. So one of the things I really like to tell people is, please make sure that when you're choosing a life partner, that you're choosing somebody who is game on to do the growth. They don't have to grow at the same pace as you, but they need to be willing to grow. Because if they're not, then if you are, you're going to get bored to tears and you're going to waste some years of your life. So make sure when you're choosing that partner, you choose somebody who's game on, like my beloved, to do the work, even though sometimes it is so freaking hard to look at our stuff, right? Am I right? So here's what I want to share with you. Last week, I shared with you that I'm doing Good Girl Reform School in tandem with doing the coursework that Harville, Hendrix, and Helen, LaKelly Hunt from Getting the Love That You Want offer. And so one of the things I'm realizing as I navigate through Good Girl Reform School with Kasia Urbaniak, and you may recall from last week that she is the author of a new book that's coming out called Unbound, which I narcissistically think was written just for me, because I am the baddest good girl around. Like, I think that I'm a bad girl because I'm audacious and I'm outspoken and I'm irreverent and I kind of don't give two fucks. But on the other hand, I have been doing what Kasia and maybe some others call the emotional labor for others, as well as the physical labor. I have been doing, trying to, as it pertains to my marriage, I've been carrying the emotional baggage for us because I'm the feeler. I'm the researcher. I'm the one that practices self-inquiry. My husband is far more intellectual and pragmatic and likes to look at things by comparing and by like thinking things through. I'm kind of more like I feel things through. And those are two nice things to complement one another. But because I do carry the emotional skills, or I have the emotional skill set, I think that it can sometimes, I take on doing the emotional labor for him. And I realize that that's something that I've been doing since I was in utero. I was trained from the youngest age, and tell me if this relates to you. Has this been happening for you as a woman, or maybe even as a man too, but just people in general who are conditioned in this field of patriarchy? I say it mostly because I am a woman. I know 99% of my audience are women. I never mean to leave the men out. I do love me the men. But what I want to offer is, if you were conditioned in the patriarchy like I was, when you're in utero and you don't, I took on taking care of my parents from that young, because when my father came home from the military, right when I was about to be born, I was 3 weeks overdue. And so he lost all of his military time and went back. So I could even see, as I've been dissecting this, that I have been asked to carry the emotional load for others around me forever. And no wonder I took it on, that it is my responsibility. But guess what? It's not my responsibility. It's not your responsibility either. So as I was navigating through the coursework this week from Good Girl Reform School, I actually was able to set some boundaries around some issues in my partnership that I hadn't been able to, because I didn't even know they were boundaries that needed to be set. Do you know what I mean? Because I took on so much of what I was seeing that Scott wasn't taking on. So there's that. And then in tandem with doing the work from Getting the Love That You Want, what I can see is that if we engage in the dialogue and the structure that they offer, you can go get the book. They're even offering a course now on Instagram. I think I'm going to sign it up. And it's not just for couples. It's for people who want to learn this active way of listening that is so compassionate. So this morning, I was able to navigate through the final stages of this rupture that we've been in. And it was all because my partner, who is very willing to do the work, patiently listened, patiently fed back to me what he thought he heard me saying, made guesses of empathy around how painful it has been for me to carry the emotional load in the marriage, and what a trigger it is for me to witness him stuck in his double binds, and why that was. And it was all because I am learning to set aside my good girl and really advocate and speak up for myself. And in addition to that, doing this imago therapy work. So guys, in case it's not obvious, through watching me the last couple of weeks, I hope that you are aware that doing the work actually gets you the love that you want. And I feel really, truly like I am getting the love that I want. And I am super hopeful and super excited at the prospect of what is coming in my partnership, because of our willingness, our mutual shared willingness to dive for the shame and dive for the shadows and bring them into the light by healing our triggers with one another. So that's what I have for you this week. There's likely to be more on marriage and relationships. And thanks for listening. As usual, as I said earlier, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends. I would be so appreciative to see my audience grow. And I want to hear from you if you are beginning to tune in and would like to make a comment or ask any questions. I'm available to answer them. And thank you for blessing me by witnessing and sharing.